Overcoming stagnation, how to turn failures into success. Imagine a moment in your life when everything seems stagnant, as if you were living the same day over and over again, trapped in a routine that drains your will to live. Have you ever felt that way, stuck in a cycle of inertia where the passion for life disappears? Perhaps you believed that the real enemy was failure, that painful moment when things don't go as planned. But what if failure were actually an opportunity? What if the real threat to your happiness were something much more subtle, growing in the shadows of routine, suffocating your will to live? In this journey, we will explore what should truly concern you: stagnation. This silent and insidious state where life loses its sparkle and you begin to just exist instead of truly living. Today, we will challenge this condition. We will dive into a new perspective where failure is not the villain, but a powerful ally that can propel your growth. Because the real victory is not in avoiding failure, but in not allowing stagnation to steal your passion for life. If you've ever wondered why your life seems to be on autopilot or felt that something essential is missing, this video is for you. We will uncover the rules that can get you out of this silent trap, showing how every small failure can be a vital step toward transformation and true freedom. Get ready to see failure in a new light, not as an end, but as the beginning of a life full of purpose and movement. Let's start with the first topic. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you've avoided trying something new for fear of failure? How many opportunities have slipped away simply because the fear of making a mistake seemed scarier than the mistake itself? The truth is that this fear, this paralyzing feeling, is nothing more than an illusion. And while you stay trapped in this illusion, life goes on, and with it comes the real threat: stagnation. The fear of failure is like a shadow that follows us, but that's all it is, a shadow. It makes us believe that failure is a monster capable of destroying our dreams and undermining our confidence. But in reality, failure is just a stepping stone, a lesson disguised as an opportunity, making us stronger and wiser with every stumble. On the other hand, stagnation is a silent and real threat. It's that feeling that nothing changes, that days pass without excitement, without challenge, without growth. It's when we settle into the comfort zone, thinking we're safe, but in reality, we're losing the essence of life: movement. Now think about this. What's worse? Trying and failing, or never trying and spending your entire life wondering, what if? Stagnation robs your energy, your creativity, and slowly consumes your soul. It's like a slow death, a life without life. I remember a time when the fear of failure almost stopped me from moving forward. An important project with every chance of going wrong. Every part of me said to give up. But I went ahead, faced the fear, and yes, I failed. But the learning was so powerful that it propelled me to the next challenge. I grew, evolved, and became better. And then I think about how many times, out of fear of failure, we stop growing and evolving. And you? How many times has the fear of failure kept you from taking the next step? How many brilliant ideas have remained hidden in the back of a drawer because you chose not to take the risk? It's time to change that mindset. Let's face this fear together. Understand that failure is just a stage on the path to success. And above all, let's avoid stagnation. Move, take risks, try. Life is there to be lived in movement, not in rest. Don't let the fear of failure be your executioner. See it as an old friend who, although challenging you, also teaches you. And more importantly, don't be seduced by stagnation. Comfort may be appealing, but it's in discomfort that we find growth. Let's go together with courage and determination in search of a full life in constant evolution. After all, the real failure is never having tried. Now that we understand how the fear of failure can paralyze us and lead to stagnation, it's important to take a step further and debunk this fear. After all, what is really behind this feeling that so often prevents us from moving forward? What if I told you that this fear is actually an illusion, a mental construct that we feed with our own doubts and the incessant search for comfort? Let's explore together how the fear of failure becomes a fictitious barrier that we often create in our own minds, preventing us from living life to the fullest. The fear of failure is like a dense fog that clouds our vision, making us believe that the path ahead is too dangerous to be walked. But this fog is created by the doubts we harbor within ourselves. Doubts about our ability, about what others will think, about what could go wrong, and over time these doubts transform into walls that seem insurmountable. But if we stop to reflect, we will realize that these walls are made of nothing more than air. They are illusions that we ourselves have created, and like any illusion, they can be undone. The first step is to identify these fictitious barriers. Ask yourself, what is really stopping me from moving forward? Is it the fear of failure or the comfort of not trying? When we look closely, we often realize that what holds us back is not reality, but our interpretation of it. And here lies the key to freeing ourselves, deconstructing this illusion. Facing fear as it is, a simple emotion that when challenged loses its strength. The truth is that failure is not the end, but part of the growth process. Every mistake, every stumble is an opportunity to learn, to adjust the course, to strengthen ourselves. So let's dismantle this illusion brick by brick. Let's take control of our lives, not letting a baseless fear stop us from achieving our dreams. After all, when we overcome the fear of failure, we realize that it was never a real obstacle. It was just a shadow easily dispersed by the light of our courage and determination. Let's delve deeper into this idea of turning failures into growth tools, because in fact, this is where one of the greatest keys to personal development lies. Failure, often seen as an enemy, can be our greatest ally if we know how to use it. Think of each failure as a lesson life offers us, a kind of map that shows us where we need to improve, which skills we need to develop, or even which paths we should avoid. Every time something doesn't go as planned, we have the opportunity to stop, reflect, and ask, what can I learn from this? This simple change in perspective turns failure from an obstacle into a springboard for success. To illustrate this, imagine that you are building a house. With each mistake made during construction, you gain a new skill or understanding. Maybe you discover that the foundation needs to be stronger, that the material used wasn't the best, or that the design needs adjusting. With each lesson learned, the house you are building, which is actually your life, becomes more robust, more beautiful, more suited to your needs and desires. Now apply this to your life. Each failure is like a new tool in your toolbox. A mistake at work can teach you to be more careful or to think of alternative solutions. A relationship that didn't work out can show you what you truly value in a partner or how to improve your communication. A missed opportunity can encourage you to prepare better for the next time. Instead of seeing these failures as tragic endings, see them as part of the process of building something bigger. Moreover, each failure gives us an opportunity to strengthen our resilience. Life tests us, challenges us, and it is through these challenges that we become stronger. Every time we fall and get back up, we become a little more resilient, a little more prepared to face what comes next. And it's this ability to get up, to continue, to learn and grow with each fall that defines our true success. Therefore, instead of fearing failure, we should face it with an open mind and a brave heart. We should look at it and say, what do you have to teach me this time? Because when we do that, when we choose to learn from every mistake, every stumble, we are actually preparing for a future of success. We are becoming the strongest, wisest and most capable version of ourselves. So, the next time you encounter failure, don't let it get you down. Instead, open your toolbox, take the lesson it offers, and use it to build something even bigger and better than before. Because in the end, failure is not the opposite of success. It's one of its most important ingredients. Now that we've seen how to turn failures into growth tools, let's explore one of the biggest obstacles to progress: perfectionism. Often, perfectionism disguises itself as a healthy pursuit of excellence, but in reality, it can be a silent enemy that prevents us from taking action. It creates a cycle of procrastination and fear, where the idea of doing something imperfectly becomes so terrifying that we end up doing nothing at all. Perfectionism makes us believe that if we can't do something perfectly, it's better not to do it at all. But this mentality is paralyzing. It keeps us in a comfort zone where the safety of avoiding mistakes prevents us from trying, learning, and growing. The truth is that progress doesn't come from perfection, but from movement, from practice, from continuous effort. Imagine a craftsman who never starts sculpting because he fears the first attempt won't be a masterpiece. He will never develop his skill, never see his potential blossom, simply because he fears imperfections. Now think about your own life. How many times have you refrained from acting, starting a project, or sharing an idea because you feared it wouldn't be perfect? That's the destructive power of perfectionism. The solution? It's simple but powerful. Act, even if imperfectly. Take the first step, even if it's not ideal. Because it's in doing, in making mistakes, and correcting that we find the true path to improvement. Each attempt, each error brings us closer to where we want to go. Movement is essential. It's what gets us out of stagnation and onto the path of growth. Perfectionism deceives us, making us believe that perfection is the ultimate goal. But in reality, perfection is a mirage. What really matters is continuous progress, the commitment to improve a little every day. So, free yourself from the chains of perfectionism and allow yourself to act, even if imperfectly. It's through these imperfections that you will find yourself, discover your true potential, and evolve. Remember, the pursuit of perfection should never be an excuse for inaction. True success is not in being perfect, but in moving forward, in continuing to try, in accepting that making mistakes is part of the process. Move, take risks, and let perfectionism lose its power over you. Because in the end, it's the act of doing, even imperfectly, that leads us to progress and real growth. Now that we understand how perfectionism can paralyze us, let's focus on an even broader aspect: how to avoid stagnation in our lives. Because just as perfectionism prevents us from acting, stagnation is a disguised form of degeneration. And if we're not careful, we may find ourselves trapped in a routine where growth and evolution are replaced by a state of comfort that over time begins to erode our potential. Stagnation is treacherous because at first glance it seems safe and comforting. When we are stagnant, we don't face big challenges, we don't take big risks. But this lack of movement leads to a slow decline, where the lack of new stimuli and experiences prevents us from evolving. And that's why we need effective strategies to combat it. One of the most powerful strategies to avoid stagnation is to actively seek discomfort. It may seem counterintuitive, but it's in moments of discomfort that we grow the most. When we step out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves to learn something new, to face a fear, or to take on a bigger responsibility, we are stimulating our growth. Discomfort is a sign that we are moving, that we are expanding beyond the limits that once contained us. Another important strategy is continuous adaptation. In a world that is constantly changing, we need to be flexible, able to adapt to new realities and demands. This means being open to learning, ready to adjust our approaches, and embracing new opportunities. Continuous adaptation keeps us moving, ensuring that we don't cling to old ways of thinking or acting that no longer serve our purpose. In addition, continuous action is essential. Small daily steps toward our goals add up over time, creating consistent progress. It's not about big leaps, but about a constant dedication to advancement. Every action, no matter how small, takes us away from stagnation and brings us closer to our potential. So let's implement these strategies in our lives. Let's seek discomfort, embrace challenges, and continually adapt. Because by doing so, we ensure that we are in a constant state of growth and evolution, avoiding the trap of stagnation and living a full and dynamic life. After all, true degeneration occurs when we stop moving, learning, and trying. And that's something we can and must avoid at all costs. Now that we've seen how to create strategies to avoid stagnation, let's focus on an even more transformative approach, using negative experiences as catalysts for growth. Because if we stop to think, it is precisely in the most difficult moments that we have the opportunity to truly learn and strengthen ourselves. Negative experiences, whether they are failures, losses, or unexpected challenges, are inevitable in life. Often, our instinctive reaction is to avoid these moments, forget them, or even hide from them. But what if instead of fleeing from these experiences, we decided to dive deep into them? What if we chose to see each challenge as a unique opportunity for growth? When we delve into negative experiences, something powerful happens. We begin to understand that each difficult situation brings with it a valuable lesson. Maybe it's the need to develop patience, resilience, or the ability to forgive. Maybe it's a call to reevaluate our priorities, adjust our paths, or strengthen our determination. Each challenge teaches us something new, something that prepares us for what is to come. Think of negative experiences as the fire that forges steel. The intense heat and pressure shape the metal, making it stronger, more resilient. Similarly, the difficult moments in our lives have the power to shape us, to transform us into stronger and wiser versions of ourselves. But for this to happen, we need to be willing to face these moments head-on, to learn from them, and to use them as levers for our growth. This doesn't mean we should seek out suffering or glorify pain. It does mean that when these moments arise, we should not retreat. Instead of allowing negative experiences to break us, we can use them to rebuild ourselves even stronger. We should take advantage of every mistake, every disappointment, and every obstacle as an opportunity to reflect, learn, and evolve. Thus, instead of seeing negative experiences as setbacks, we should view them as necessary steps on our growth journey. Because in the end, it is these moments that give us the tools and wisdom to face the future with more confidence and clarity. By turning these experiences into growth catalysts, we are actually taking control of our own evolution, ensuring that each challenge becomes one more step on the ladder of our personal development. Now that we understand how to use negative experiences as growth catalysts, let's address a challenge that we all face when trying to move forward: internal resistance. This obstacle is subtle but powerful, arising whenever we venture outside our comfort zone. It's that voice that tells us to give up, that insists we're not ready, that it's better to stay where we are. But to truly grow, we need to learn to overcome this resistance. Internal resistance is a natural force that arises every time we try to do something new or challenging. It's the fear of the unknown, the inertia that keeps us tied to what is familiar, even when we know we should move forward. We've all felt this at some point, that urge to turn back, to procrastinate, to avoid the discomfort that comes with change. But the truth is that internal resistance is not an invincible enemy. It can be overcome, and the key to doing so is discipline. Discipline is not just the ability to move forward even when we don't want to. It's the commitment to stay true to our goals, regardless of the internal obstacles that may arise. When we face resistance with discipline, we transform fear into action, inertia into movement. Every small victory over internal resistance strengthens our ability to continue, to persist, to grow. Imagine that your mind is like a battlefield where resistance tries to erect barriers to stop your advance. But with discipline, you can tear down these barriers one by one. It's not about eliminating fear or doubt completely, but about learning to act despite them. Over time, this process of facing challenges becomes more natural and internal resistance loses its strength. Overcoming internal resistance is a continuous exercise. Every time we challenge ourselves to step out of the comfort zone, to face something new, we become stronger. And by doing so, we begin to realize that internal resistance, no matter how powerful it seems, is only temporary. It's like a cloud covering the sun. It may obscure our path for a while, but with discipline, it eventually dissipates, revealing the clarity and direction we need to move forward. So, the next time you feel internal resistance trying to stop you, remember that you have the strength to overcome it. Use discipline as your ally. Turn fear into motivation and keep moving forward toward your growth. Because in the end, it is by overcoming this resistance that we truly become the best version of ourselves, capable of facing any challenge life presents us. Now that we've seen how to overcome internal resistance, it's time to talk about a fundamental factor that can either propel or hinder our growth: the environment we live in. Because no matter how much discipline and determination we have, the environment around us exerts a powerful influence on our development. Creating an environment conducive to growth is essential to ensure that we can flourish and reach our full potential. The environment is like the soil where we plant our seeds of growth. If the soil is fertile, full of nutrients, our seeds will have everything they need to grow strong and healthy. But if the soil is barren, full of rocks and weeds, growth will be slow, difficult, and perhaps even impossible. The same goes for the social and emotional environment in which we find ourselves. A positive social circle, composed of people who support us, challenge us to be better, and share similar values and goals, is one of the most important components of an environment conducive to growth. These people are like the water and sunlight that our seeds need to grow. They inspire us, support us during difficult times, and help us stay focused on our goals. On the other hand, negative influences, people who discourage us, drain our energy, and trap us in destructive patterns, are like weeds that choke our growth. Breaking away from these negative influences can be difficult, but it's a crucial step in creating the environment necessary for personal development. This doesn't mean we should abruptly cut off relationships, but rather become aware of who and what surrounds us and make conscious choices about where and with whom we invest our time and energy. By doing this, we are protecting our growth space and ensuring that we are surrounded by stimuli that help us move forward. In addition to the social circle, the physical and mental environment also plays an important role. An organized space that inspires us and is aligned with our goals can make all the difference in our productivity and well-being. Similarly, cultivating a positive mental environment through habits such as reading, meditation, and consuming uplifting content helps us keep our minds focused and resilient. Therefore, if we want to grow, we need to start with the environment in which we are embedded. Let's cultivate a social circle that strengthens us, break away from the influences that prevent us from moving forward, and create a space, both physical and mental, that inspires and supports us on our journey. Because when we are in an environment conducive to growth, we are better equipped to face challenges and achieve our goals. Now that we've discussed the importance of creating an environment conducive to growth, it's essential to address one of the biggest traps that can prevent us from moving forward: self-pity. When we indulge in self-pity, we place ourselves in a victim position, trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage that paralyzes us and prevents us from taking action. To truly grow and take control of our lives, we need to reject this stance and take responsibility for our reality. Self-pity is actually a psychological trap. When we face difficulties, it's natural to feel sadness, frustration, or even discouragement. But the problem arises when these feelings turn into a vicious cycle where we begin to believe that we are powerless in the face of circumstances. It's as if we put a blindfold over our eyes, preventing us from seeing the solutions and opportunities that are around us. This victim mentality creates a barrier that separates us from action and growth. When we are trapped in self-pity, we start to justify inaction with thoughts like, "It's no use trying, nothing will change," or "This always happens to me." These thoughts, although they may seem comforting in a moment of pain, actually keep us stuck, perpetuating a state of stagnation and despair. It's like being in a boat adrift, not rowing, just letting the waves carry us with no direction, no control. But what if we decide to take up the oars and start rowing, even against the current? That's the power of rejecting self-pity and adopting a stance of responsibility. Instead of focusing on what is out of our control, we start to focus on what we can do, on the small and large actions that are within our reach. It's a powerful shift in mindset that transforms the way we see and respond to challenges. Taking responsibility doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or minimizing what we're going through. On the contrary, it means fully acknowledging our situation and still choosing to act. It's understanding that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond to those situations. And it's this response that defines our destiny. Action then becomes the key to breaking the cycle of self-pity. It can start with something simple, a small step in the right direction, like deciding to go for a walk, calling a friend for support, or even starting a new task you've been putting off. These small acts of proactivity accumulate, creating momentum that pulls us out of inertia and puts us into motion. Another important aspect is to cultivate true self-compassion, which is different from self-pity. Self-compassion allows us to recognize and validate our feelings without being consumed by them. It's understanding that it's normal to feel pain, but that this pain doesn't have to define us or prevent us from moving forward. By practicing self-compassion, we create an internal space of support and encouragement that helps us stay focused on action and responsibility instead of getting lost in thoughts of victimization. Furthermore, it's also crucial to question the negative thoughts that fuel self-pity. Ask yourself, is this situation really as insurmountable as it seems? Or what can I do, no matter how small, to start changing this situation? Often, when we challenge these thoughts, we realize that they are exaggerated or distorted, and that there are more possibilities for action than we imagined. In the end, rejecting self-pity and adopting a stance of responsibility empowers us. It makes it clear that regardless of circumstances, we have the power to shape our reality. This doesn't mean it will be easy or that results will come immediately, but it does mean that we are in control, that we are the agents of our own lives. And it's this realization that gives us the strength and resilience to keep going, to fight, and eventually to win. So the next time you feel the temptation to indulge in self-pity, remember, you have the choice to be the victim or to be the hero of your own story. Action, no matter how small, is the first step to transforming your reality and building a life that truly reflects your true potential. As we reach the end of this journey, it's crucial to reinforce a fundamental truth. The real enemy is not failure, but stagnation. Often we spend so much time fearing failure that we forget it is actually an essential component of growth. Failure teaches us, strengthens us, prepares us for the next step. Stagnation, on the other hand, is what really prevents us from evolving. It is insidious, silent, and slowly drains our energy and motivation, leading us to a state of inertia. When we stagnate, we stop seeking, trying, learning. Life loses its natural movement, and with it, our ability to grow and transform diminishes. Stagnation is not just the absence of physical movement, it is also the mental and emotional paralysis that prevents us from exploring new ideas, taking risks, and reinventing ourselves. Think about it. Failure may be painful, but it is never final. Every time we fail, we gain the opportunity to start again with more wisdom and experience. But stagnation, this can be final. It is the state where we settle, where we stop fighting, stop dreaming, stop believing that we can be more. And that's where true defeat happens. The final message we should carry with us is clear. We need to keep moving, regardless of challenges, mistakes, or falls. Movement is what keeps us alive, engaged, and in constant evolution. When we allow ourselves to become stagnant, we are actually giving up on the life we could have, on the achievements we could reach, on the dreams we can still realize. So don't fear failure. Embrace it as part of the journey, but above all, reject stagnation. Keep moving forward, even when the path seems difficult. With each step, no matter how small, you are distancing yourself from stagnation and getting closer to a life of continuous growth and achievement. Because, in the end, the real enemy is not failure, but the decision to stop trying. Keep moving, and life will reward your courage and perseverance with growth, learning, and, eventually, success. In the next video, we will explore even more powerful strategies to keep your life in constant evolution. Subscribe to the channel and don't miss out, because true transformation starts now.